The NFL coaching carousel is in full swing, and maybe at this time of the year, you're not really thinking about it unless one of your teams is looking to hire a head coach. But for fantasy purposes, oh man, it could make all the difference of us, because you could have a guy like Doug Peterson that comes in and absolutely revamps Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Or you could have a guy like Nathaniel Hackett that comes in and just completely flops. I just don't think that we take enough time to really sit down and look at the coaching changes over the offseason and how they may affect teams going into next year. So to get things going, I'm going to give grades out for the 2022 season for every new head coach. What went right, what went wrong, and what does the future hold for them? And then to wrap up the video, I'm going to talk about teams that have vacancies right now, the hottest head coaching names that we're hearing about, and what their best fits may be. Matt Eberflus from the Chicago Bears, I'm going to give him a B- for 2022. They do have the first overall pick, the worst record in all of football, but that's okay because it wasn't all of his fault. The reason I'm knocking the grade down is because to begin the year, he just didn't have any clue to how to utilize Justin Fields and to really let him spread his wings and fly as the quarterback that he is. But to his credit, throughout the year, he learned how to utilize Fields, and he did just that. Also, they didn't have very many weapons on offense and traded their two best players on the defensive side of the ball in season. For Eberflus, give him a B-. Nathaniel Hackett, he's just a big fat F. He should have never been hired in the first place. And the only reason he was because Denver was trying to get Aaron Rodgers to come there. But Aaron Rodgers ended up going back to Green Bay. They traded for Russell Wilson, and everything went downhill from there. With the way Russell Wilson played at the end of the season with the Broncos, there's no telling me that it was not Nathaniel Hackett that was causing the problems. Lovie Smith is going to get an F from the Houston Texans, but not Smith as a coach. Houston is an organization. What are they doing? Back-to-back one-and-done coaches? It's the hire that gets an F from me. The Houston Texans, at this point, I'm going to start calling them the one-pump chumps. Doug Peterson gets an A+ from me, a team that was the laughing stock of the league last year. Nobody wanted to play for Urban Meyer. He had absolutely destroyed that organization. Doug Peterson comes in and revitalizes it, taking that team to the playoffs and making Trevor Lawrence look like the real deal quarterback of the future. Josh McDaniels, he gets a D for me. It makes a lot of sense that the Las Vegas Raiders would try to go with a sexy name instead of maybe the best name. What are you doing, Raiders? It's about as dumb as a decision as it was moving the team from Oakland to Las Vegas. And now we look at this Raiders team and they're blaming Derek Carr for what just happened this season. Josh McDaniels, you're a good coordinator. You suck as a head coach. We've already seen it in Denver. Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins, he gets a solid B+. The reason I dropped it down from an A is because throughout the season, we just saw some issues with him adjusting the game plan to when things were going against him and it felt like teams were figuring him out. He didn't really adjust as quickly as we would have liked. Now, part of the issue, losing Tua for as much of the season as they did, but that's all right. Mike, let me see you have some sustained success over the next couple of seasons, and if you do, you'll definitely be an A+ then. Kevin O'Connell from the Vikings, I'm going to give this a B, and you might be asking me, Kyle, they won their division. How could you not give them a higher grade? I think all of us are well aware of my thoughts on the Vikings so far this year, and that really, honestly, they were kind of frauds. Their defense sucked. They had to rely on winning some close one-score games. They got blown out in the other games, and at times they didn't look like a division-winning team this year. Was it luck? Was it sustainable? That time will tell. Was Kevin O'Connell a bad hire? Absolutely not. Minnesota's exactly where they wanted to be. But if he can't turn things around on the defensive side of the ball next year, Minnesota could be looking a lot worse for the wear. Dennis Allen for the Saints, he gets a big fat D for me. The Saints, this just felt like a safe hire. It didn't feel like that they wanted to send any waves. It really didn't feel like they wanted to get creative or find a really good guy to come in. They just wanted someone to take over that was familiar with the organization, and they went with Dennis Allen. The problem with Dennis Allen, he's not really head coaching material. He absolutely flopped as a head coach in Oakland. Okay, maybe that's not his fault. I'm still going to hold it against him, though, because I haven't seen anything better for the Saints yet. Brian Daboll, he gets an A+ for the Giants as well. He brought all of those things that he did well with the Buffalo Bills to the New York Giants. He made Daniel Jones a top-tier quarterback, really helping him break out and utilizing him to the best of his abilities. He got the most out of an offense that didn't have a whole lot of weapons outside of Saquon Barkley, and he got this team to play with a chip on their shoulder and play passionate football all season long. Daboll, he gets an A in my book. Lots of things can still happen this offseason, but it looks like right now we're only going to have 5 head coaching vacancies to fill this offseason. Arizona, Houston, Denver, Indianapolis, and Carolina. First guy up, Steve Wilks, interim head coach for the Carolina Panthers. I think he ends up retaining that job. He had this team playing very well at the end of the season. Heck, until week 17, they were in the fight for the NFC South. Well, maybe it's because the division sucked, but it doesn't matter. This team turned things around after a 1-4 start and trading their star Christian McCaffrey and still almost made the playoffs. I think he goes back to Carolina. DeMeco Ryans, defensive coordinator from the 49ers. Fantastic year with that defense. His best fit, if it's not Steve Wilks, it's going to be him for the Carolina Panthers. He can do a lot of really good things on defense. And right now, they don't have like a young quarterback that needs that whispering. They have a defense that they really need to get the best out of with a lot of really good young talent on that. And bringing in Ryans would help them do that. And then they can rebuild that offense a little bit and maybe in a year or two be challenging for the NFC South. Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. By this point in time, he's been a head coaching name for 3 years now and hasn't gotten a job. It's for some reason, there is something that is just turning him off to other teams. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can blame Matt Nagy for some of this as well. Hiring from the Andy Reid tree of coaches, Matt Nagy was the last one, and he was an utter failure in Chicago. A lot of people might be looking at Eric Bieniemy and saying, hey, it's not him, it's Andy Reid and it's Patrick Mahomes. He's just not going to have what we need. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And I know you look at that Lions defense and just the stats and the box scores, and it doesn't look good. But he got a lot of really good things out of that defense this year. Aiden Hutchinson is a Rookie of the Year candidate. Malcolm Rodriguez played well in the middle of the field. And we had guys all over the place that played really well that, were not guys that were thought highly of coming out of the draft. Kudos to him for getting the best out of those players. And that's why I think his best fit is the Indianapolis Colts. That team right there needs to dominate the NFC South with their defense, because you're going to have Trevor Lawrence there for a while, and you're going to also have, probably Bryce Young or CJ Stroud as well coming in. Keep an eye on that. Your defense needs to be great. Aaron Glenn might be the guy to get the most out of it. Ken Dorsey, offensive coordinator from the Buffalo Bills. He's going to need to go be a QB whisperer to a team. Either go do it in Arizona with Kyler Murray, or he's going to need to go do that with the Houston Texans and their new quarterback this year. That offensive mind is someone you are going to want around your young quarterback to get the most out of them. Kyler Murray could use a kick in the butt, and whoever the Texans draft could use that offensive mind to help them explode onto the scene in the NFL. The biggest name right now is going to be Sean Payton, thinking about coming back after taking the year off. And to get him to be your coach, you're going to actually have to trade for him because he's still technically under contract with the New Orleans Saints. My best fits for Sean Payton is going to be the Cardinals to work with Kyler Murray, or even better yet, the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are a team that are built to win right now. Yeah, you're going to have to get through, of course, the big bad Kansas City Chiefs, but Las Vegas is down. They don't have a quarterback of the future right now. And then when you take a look at the Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley keeps screwing everything up there in Los Angeles. The quickest route to the playoffs and to turning this thing around is to have a veteran coach that knows what he's doing, that's been in this place before, that is offensive minded, that can get a guy like Russell Wilson back on track. If I had to pick anybody for Sean Payton, it would be the Denver Broncos, with Arizona being a second close one. Dan Quinn is getting a ton of looks right now, but unfortunately not getting a ton of time to interview because his Dallas Cowboys are still in the playoffs. And by the way, this was recorded prior to the weekend, so by the time you see it, Dallas might not be in the playoffs anymore. But this is a guy that has shown that he is capable of leading an NFL team. Heck, he led an NFL team to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl. We won't talk about it, Falcons fans, but now I think he's going to get another shot, and he needs to go to a team where he can inspire a young defense like he has done in Dallas. And for me, that would also be the Carolina Panthers. I mean, they've got really J.C. Horn, Brian Burns. They've got young pieces on that defense. If you want to get the best out of it in the NFC South, Dan Quinn will be your guy. Mike Kafka, offensive coordinator from the New York Giants, and it's not that I don't think that he can take over as a head coach, is essentially the same thing that the Lions did with Ben Johnson. They're going to pay Mike Kafka to come back and be the offensive coordinator for the Giants. They're trying to build something special, and this is a team that they're going to have to re-sign Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley to keep that offense intact. The last thing you want to do is to try and work all these offensive pieces while also bringing in a new offensive game caller. For me, Mike Kafka, he's ended up staying in New York, and that's why I don't have him as a best fit anywhere. They'll pay up to keep him. Headliner Nation, hit the like button for me. Leave a comment down below. If your team has an open position right now, who do you want them to hire? And who do you think is the best head coach and team fit right now? Let me know down in the comments. Peace out, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see y'all in the next one.